Hello and welcome back to Have You Heard, the social media podcast by us here at The Social Shepherd. My name is Zoe. I am one of the co-founders and managing director here, and today I'm joined by Lucy, who is
Influence Marketing Director.
Exactly. And today we are going to talk about, well, we're going to delve into ASA regulations, which, you know, to put your name to something like that, it's a little bit spooky because there is a lot of ambiguity around it. You know, it's something that we deal with on a daily basis, but it's something that a lot's gone on over the last 12 months where people are quite often quite scared to talk about stuff like this because, you know, there's accounts on TikTok that call people out and stuff. But, you know, we pride ourselves on making sure we're following the rules as best we possibly can. That's our duty to do so as an agency. So just a little bit of a roundup and our sort of hot take on what you should and shouldn't be doing as an influencer. So we've been given a list of questions to ask. So firstly, tell us what's been going on.
So there has been a bit of conversation recently about the ASA and how you label your content. Naming no names, there was a little bit of TikTok drama between two individuals, one calling out a influencer who they claimed had not been correctly labeling their content.
And it was quite controversial, actually, because said influencer owns their brand. And then, you know, it kind of got into a little bit of a mix because, one, they'd been posting content on their platform organically about it, but they'd also actually been using it for ads as well. So I think from my perspective in that argument, there was kind of two sides from it. I do feel like if you own a brand and you're pushing out like UGC style review videos, but you own the brand, you should probably make it clear that you own it, because you're actively trying to reach people that aren't necessarily part of your current following. Whereas if someone follows you and you own a business, then it's a slightly more grey area, I feel.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, there was a lot of conversation around that. We're not going to add more fuel to the fire today. No. But it also kind of tied in quite nicely with a report that recently came out from Cork. And one of their findings in their 2024 data review was that influencers using the wrong labels for adverts has increased by 638% year on year. And I remember when I shared that with the team, in one of our herd huddles, and I said it out loud and I was a little bit like, I feel like that doesn't make sense. But basically it's suggesting there's been an increase in content over the last year where content has been labelled by influencers and content creators suggesting it's an ad or it's a PR opportunity or it's been gifted or something. And of all the content that Cork has been tracking that has been posted, there has been a 638% increase year on year in influencers incorrectly labelling the content. And by that, they mean, well, according to the ASA, all content, whether it's been gifted, whether you've been sent on a PR trip, whether you've been paid to produce some content for a brand, it always needs to state ad. So anything that says hashtag gifted, hashtag PR, hashtag AFLink, all these different variations that I know we all see, that is incorrect. It always,
as per the ASA.
Exactly.
So they advise not to use it, basically. And that even goes for gifting with no obligation to post. Yep. So if something just appears at your door one day and they don't say you have to post about it and you post it, as per the ASA guidelines, you should still write ad on that and make it clear that it's an advertisement.
Exactly. And I think what we're aware of is there is a lot of confusion still, I guess, in this industry around how you label content in accordance with what the ASA suggest.
I think it would be helpful for us, people listening might not actually know who the ASA is.
Sure thing. So the ASA are the Advertising Standards Authority, and they are responsible.
Well, they're not necessarily like a governing body, but basically, in short, from what I understand, it's if you did end up going through a legal battle or doing something of that nature, you know, the ASA cannot enforce their suggestions as law, but the government would take their guidance on what is appropriate advertising practice, basically.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's really hard to understand ASA guidelines sometimes, because they use a lot of things like, we would advise that you don't post this, or we would suggest everything should be labeled like this. It can be quite hard and a bit ambiguous to understand exactly what you can and can't do.
Yeah, I guess in fairness to them, like the all the guidance on their website, like they've got like very quite brief documentation that suggests like it needs to be labeled like this, or there's like flow charts saying like, is this your situation? If yes, then this, and so on and so forth, and this is therefore what you need to do. But I think the reason why it feels ambiguous is because a lot of people within this industry have opinions of whether something needs to be labeled as an ad, or whether it's fair enough to expect audiences to understand what hashtag gifted means, or hashtag PR opportunity.
And I guess because in theory, whilst that could be enforced as like illegal ad practices or whatever, because it's guidance, if that makes sense, then some people take that guidance very seriously, and some people take it extortionately unseriously and stuff. And people are definitely, reaping the consequences of not taking lawful and ethical ad practices seriously. But it does feel, like it's getting a lot heavier in the sense of just everything is an ad. Just like, if in doubt, put hashtag ad, or make it clear, like in this, it shouldn't be ambiguous to anyone looking at that piece of content that you have been given that product or paid as a result of having an influence online.
Exactly. And that's also equally why it's so important that we as an agency, when we are briefing influencers, we are crystal clear in all of our briefs, in our contracts, that you are required to follow ASA guidelines on all content. If you were to receive a product from one of our clients, and then you were paid to produce some content for it, but then 3 months down the line you choose to feature that product again or talk about it again, you're still required to make it clear that you have been paid to promote said product in the past. And it's really important as well when we have conversations with our clients that, they are also on board with that. We're fortunate we've never had one of these instances from brands where they're saying to influencers, don't post ad, or I've heard about those.
We wouldn't,
bizarre.
We wouldn't, it's our duty as an agency, and like there's a legal responsibility from our perspective, and equally I don't want to get sued.
For sure.
Yeah.
And it's about ensuring you've got like integrity with the content that's being posted, because it is important. Whatever you think of it all, your audience will respect you if you are clear in labelling your content correctly as well. Exactly.
And I think the whole thing of people trying to get away from disclosing the fact that it's an ad, just make better content. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you really think that not including hashtag ad in your content, then it's clearly not strong enough in the first place, because good content you'll be able to get over the fact that it says hashtag ad in it. So it just... do a good job.
Don't do the thing where you like disguise it.
Oh,
like,
no.
Like where it's like the same color as the background. Like, we've had people submit content before. We've had to go, you need to make it clear that that is an ad.
Yeah. But that's why content approval is so important.
Exactly.
So like we will look at every single piece of content before our clients even look at it. So yeah, it's super important.
Precisely.
Well, look, thank you for watching this episode of Have You Heard? And yeah, we'll see you again soon.